Is Charles Boney on Gospel Talk. This is the long awaited segment of Gospel Talk concerning relationship. And the question is, what makes a great relationship? And it is you, the viewers, that really wanted to see this segment on relationships. And the thing is, a marriage is the ultimate relationship. And we're going to get into discussion. And here, what makes a great relationship is expressed by T.D. Jakes and his wife, Sarita Jakes. Um, I would say, in the public view, they've really identified with a home and family is what it's all about once you get into marriage. And here we have the Hollywood actor Denzel Washington and his wife Pauletta Washington. He's made millions in the Hollywood atmosphere and has remained with his wife all this time. So I would say this is another example. And of course, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and family, this depicts what it's all about: love, respect, and family, and we're going to discuss this. And we're going to start with Miss Sheila Washington. She's going to introduce herself there. And we're going to let the panelists here introduce themselves. And we're going to let Sheila Washington get it started with a few questions there that I do have about relationships. Sheila?
Good afternoon. I'm Shalia Washington, native of Burgall, North Carolina, and I'm here to join the panel. I think it's a great topic about relationships because relationships is what makes the world go round, whether good or bad. It all depends on the communication. So I'm glad to be here.
All right, now we have Anthony Ballard.
Hey, my
How's it
name is
going
Anthony.
there?
I'm all right. I'm fine. How you doing?
Already. I'm glad to have you on the panel. We have a track star here, folks. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
my name is Ballard, White Stockton, North Carolina, right outside of Burgall, North Carolina. I was a little iffy about doing it, but Charles talked me into it, and I hope whatever I say tonight might be able to help someone.
Right. And foremost, Charles Boney first. Oh yeah, because I'm getting the emails and calls. Okay, they say, Charles Boney, you're not qualified to talk about this. Get somebody to know what to talk about. So now we're gonna move over to Mr. Demetrius Sharp and let him introduce himself there because we're gonna get in a nice topic there.
Hello, Demetrius Sharp is by way of Maple Hill, North Carolina. Uh, Relationship is my number one thing because everything begins with relationship. Everything. And we're going to talk about that a little later.
Okay, all righty. I look forward to it. Now, we do have Pastor Marvina Ward. She was on Gospel Talk, and like I said, I was going to invite her back. I really like her outlook on a lot of things there. And in gospel music, she had a very good viewpoint in gospel music. And now we have her here speaking on relationships. How you doing there, Pastor?
I'm doing wonderful. I hope you all are.
All right, all right. Okay, welcome to Gospel Talk. Welcome all to Gospel Talk. And we're getting ready to jump right into it. Um, um, like I said before, it's something that my viewers wanted to see. Um, I have a busy schedule, and my viewers really wanted this segment of Gospel Talk. So we're going to get right into it. Um, I'm going to go first to Miss Sheila Washington there, whom I feel has a very good scope on relationships. I'll say it like that. And I will say, first of all, what makes a great relationship? Let's get right into it. Let's get to the nitty gritty. What actually makes a great relationship?
To me, what makes a great relationship in general is just having that communication level being an active listener and having conversations. And it's more than having conversations, because you can have a conversation, and if someone is not actively listening and engage, you can have a conversation for years and nothing ever becomes of that conversation. There's no fruition of what the conversation was about or the communication was about. So it takes two. You both have to be actively listening, and you have to want to be there. You have to want to be there. And you got to have goals. You got to be on the same page. You got to be on the same line.
There it is.
And, it takes two. And you have to listen. And I know life happens. But in order to have a great relationship, you have to have a good active communication.
There it is. There it is. Now, I'm going to kind of pass the ball around, on what you just said, because you coming from a female perspective. So I'm going to pass the ball over right beside you there to Mr. Anthony Ballard and ask him the same question. Now, from a male perspective, but it could be in general of this, but let's see from a male perspective on how you see things there. Mr. Ballard?
To have a great relationship, it's definitely got to be a line of open communication. Trust is a big factor. Being honest with who you are in the relationship. And pretty much just being transparent, which is, I'm forever learning how to do all those things.
In other words, you continuously growing, continuous improvement. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I understand that. Now, with that said, I'm going to come back to Miss Sheila and ask her another question. Okay. A marriage is the ultimate relationship, right? Okay. Why is it that two people that really love one another, at that point, what causes cheating? How does that develop? Because that's the number one cause for divorce, cheating. Not financial problems, not this and that, but it's cheating. What brings that about? And after you answer that, I'm going to go to Miss Pastor Marvina Ward after you answer that.
So what causes cheating?
Exactly.
First of all, I think it's something that someone decides to do. It's a conscious choice, a conscious decision. I know in relationships, people can feel neglected, not heard. There's no quality time spent together. There's no working together toward goals. One is going one way, one is going another way.
Okay.
And there's no coming together. And if that goes on for a period of time, somebody's going to feel neglected. Everybody wants to be loved. And if you say you love somebody, and if you're in a relationship with somebody, like my cousin said, you got to be transparent. And like when you're hurting and when you have something to say, you got to have that space to be able to tell just how you feel and how you feel it without the other person, getting upset and think that you're bashing them. You got to listen to listen to their heart. And with that being said, if a person doesn't listen and this type of atmosphere continues and that person feels neglected, I mean, I know there's people who have been in a relationship for years, and they've been faithful, and they maybe had a husband that cheated, but they're still there. But what's them there? And I think it's commitment, but at the same time, there's got to be a way, because everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to be whole.
Exactly. That's the point. And with that, I'm going to go to Pastor Marvina Ward on that same thing, or touch on the first subject as well. Go with it in the way you feel there.
Okay, so the first one, I will go through there first. So the first part of a great relationship, for me, God has to be included. So if God is not included as the head, it's already failed. Communication, good listening skills, just
Okay.
knowing who that person is, because you have to have an open communication. That means you need to know what that person likes. That person needs to know what you like in order for it to continue to build. Because if you just go into a relationship, if you just like something about the person, you know, sometimes men, they are attracted to a woman because of her body. Sometimes a woman might be attracted
Okay.
to his looks.
Okay.
Still have to have communication, because all of that stuff, as time goes on, it's not going to look the same way it looked whenever you first started with the person. Things, you're going to get older, may get bigger, some may get smaller, some people may get sick. So if you keep that communication, then everything then is going to go.
Yeah,
Now,
you
as
got to
far
have
as
that bond.
you
I
got to
see.
have a bond, it's got to be something other
Yeah.
than your body.
Okay.
That's not going to keep the relationship. Your good body is not going to stay that same way. And as far as what I feel will make people cheat, they're no longer accountable and they're no longer responsible for that person. Accountability and responsibility, once that is left out, now they forgetting about who they made their commitment to. So now you don't feel accountable, because now if you listen to the first part that you knew what that person liked, and now you stop doing the things that person like, you're no longer holding yourself accountable to do those things. You started off and then you stopped.
Right.
Now, if you with the lady and you know that woman, she likes to go out, she likes date nights, and then all of a sudden you stop, you're not giving her that attention she
The
needs.
attention. Yeah. Affection. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
If
On that note, I'm gonna give it over to Mr. Dimitri Sharp to really sum it up and give a very good perspective on this. And I appreciate y'all's answer there. Sum it up for me, Mr. Sharp.
Man, I tell you, my spirit jumping over here, boy. This is right down my line. But going back to relationship, everything that's created came with instructions. I don't care what it is, it comes with instructions. You can overlook the instruction and try to figure it out for yourself. But if you take the time and go through the instructions, you're going to find out it's a whole lot easier, a whole lot simpler to find out what you need to find out with anything, even with relationships. If you're going to have a good relationship, you got to go to the manual, which is what we call the Bible. The Bible tells you just how to conduct yourself when it comes to a relationship. If you go outside of that Bible to create any kind of relationship, I promise you it's going to fail. I've been there and I've done that. If one of y'all is doing it in instructions and the other is not, it ain't going to work.
Right.
The Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? If you don't know the book, like I know the book, we already in trouble.
Okay, Mr. Sharp, I have to intervene right there. I'm the moderator. I'm going to have to ask something on this. Now, you have two sides of the coin. You have those that go to church and follow the parameters of what a relationship should be in a church, but you have many that do not. So we're talking about relationships in the church and relationships in general. So now I understand where you're coming from, but you coming from a perspective that's good, from a religious perspective, but I want to make sure we keep it general. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So we don't get caught up in, well, this church Baptist here and this, that. Do you understand what I'm saying, Pastor Ward
I
there?
know just what
So we
I know
won't get
just what
involved
you're
with
saying.
that because we are first human and in flesh. So let's just deal with relationships in general. You get what I'm saying?
But regardless, you still have to go by the book. Because that's where it all was created. It all was created from the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say,
go ahead. Go ahead.
As far as like I done been the cheater. I done been cheated on.
Oh.
And I'm gonna say, cheating kind of sometimes can start from leaving doors left open.
Right.
Wait a minute now. Okay.
Relationships be with people that you shouldn't be talking to. Your eye gate, things that you look at, because sometimes things that you look at that you might not be able to
Handle.
handle.
Yeah.
And you'll look at
Okay.
things you don't have any business looking at it, and it'll lead you to cheat because you feel like you're not getting that at home, or you think it's better. So it's also what you see. And then, like I say, open doors. Wrong open doors. And I ain't perfect. I ain't perfect. And I've been in the church and I've been out of church. But you start, and then just letting outside people in when you have problems,
Oh my God.
talking to your problems to the wrong people, talking
Man,
to
you
people
preaching now. You are preaching.
that,
Yes,
it's just
sir. You breaking it down.
a lot of different things that cheating. So that's kind of my take.
Okay. Well, I tell you
Now,
what.
Carl, you said about cheating, right?
Right.
Cheating
Right.
don't start overnight, like you just said. It's different things that lead up to it. It's stuff that's lacking. Talk about communication. Okay. You communicate one thing to your significant other, they can hear something totally different. So you have to make sure that your communication is being received. So I can talk at you, but not to you, where you can receive what I'm saying.
Okay.
And it'll push me further back. You see what
So
I'm
what
saying?
I understand.
Wait a minute now.
I understand what you're saying there. But I will say this: after you have a communication conversation with the other individual, and it's just like a kid. Like, you tell that kid, look, clean up your room. Kid pay you no mind. Tell them again, clean up the room. They pay you no mind. Next thing you have to do, you pull out the belt.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna get your attention. So
right.
Whenever somebody comes to you, initially, you should be ready to sit down and listen and hear what their heart is saying. And you have to take it serious. And because if you don't, that's going to show them that you don't care what you're saying, you don't value, and it's going to cause them after a period of time just to shut down. They're going to start looking somewhere else. They shouldn't, because at the end of the day, I don't care what kind of problems you have with your married partner. At the end of the day, you ain't crazy. You know what cheating is, and you need to have a conversation with your spouse and say, look, we got issues. We're going to have some problems. If we don't get this fixed. And a lot of people are scared to have that conversation, but you got to put it out there.
Wow.
Date night. Got to have date night every week.
You do. And you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work.
You got to have it every week.
Yeah.
You cannot skip it.
Nope.
Not skip it.
Nope. You got to make time for the relationship. What it took for you to get them is what it takes for you to keep them. And you should grow from that.
Right.
Wow, this was good.
By talking to you. The more I talk to you, the more I learn about you.
Exactly. But here's the other thing. You got to be free to, like, is it Marcus?
Right.
Marcus, like Marcus said, you got to be willing to be transparent. And some people are not willing to be transparent because they don't know how they're going to be received. So you got to create that safe space where I can tell you anything. I don't care how bad it is. If I feel like I'm a cheat, look, honey, you ain't doing this. I need you to do this. I'm tired. I'm feeling lonely. If you don't start doing what you need to do to help me, I'm feeling neglected. You gotta have.
No, you just put it out there.
You gotta put it out there. Because once you put it out there, they can't say they didn't know and they didn't understand. You got to make sure there's a clear understanding, and that person needs to understand. If they care, like they say they do, then they're gonna make an effort to put in the work. You have to put in the work.
Put in the work. Real good. Marvina, Pastor Marvina Ward.
Yeah, there goes that accountability and responsibility. You have to be accountable. Right. And then the person tells you what they need. Now you got to be responsible enough to do what they say they needed.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's active listening. Because you can't tell me, I sit here and pour my heart out to you, And then next week, you right back doing the same thing. You didn't listen.
Exactly.
Wow.
Everybody has a choice. You have a choice.
That's it. That's it. That's it. And we got to be accountable to ourselves, because if
Yeah.
I decide to go out there and cheat, it's not on my mate. That's something that I
Yeah.
chose to do.
Mhm.
So we got to be held accountable, and we got to hold each other accountable.
Exactly.
And it's very difficult for a marriage to survive that. Not saying that it can't, but it definitely put a strain on it. You
Oh yeah,
know,
you lose
it's
trust.
Yeah.
You lose
yeah.
trust.
Once it's like there's a void there. I mean, sometimes you just sometimes you be just like a figurehead. You just there, you know. But that bond that you once had, that it's not there anymore. You know,
And
like
if
they
it's
say, the
not,
thrill is gone.
yeah, and if
You
it's
know,
not there, you're just wasting your time. You're most miserable.
Mm.
So unless y'all actively come together to try to work on, talk about it. I mean, actually
wow,
talk about what
this is
happened
good.
and
This is
work
good.
on it. I mean, actively work on it, because if she doesn't want to work on it, or he doesn't want to work on it, there's no point even being together. I hate to say that, but
Wow.
and I don't believe in divorce, but I've been divorced once, but but it is what it is. This is life. I look at how, and another thing, I think the reason why divorce happened, because of course I grew up in the church, and like
Right.
we didn't know what to look for in a husband.
Mhm.
We didn't know what to
You
look for,
didn't
because
know.
we always heard he findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing, but nobody
Right.
talked about what what good thing the man was supposed to be. They never talked about character. As long as they say they say, sanctify, and filled with the Holy Ghost, and speaking in tongues and shouting, get in church and come home and beat your tail, like, and then you're hiding. And then it was like, the saved wife sanctify the husband.
Uh-huh.
Y'all don't get me wrong. I love the Bible, but I cannot be responsible for sanctifying a man.
Hmm.
I
Right.
can't. I cannot be
To a
responsible.
certain
Wow.
degree.
He
To a certain degree.
has to want to be sanctified.
Mhm.
I remember being married, and I always heard my daddy preach about the prodigal son. The prodigal son, he left home, he wanted his living, he wanted his righteous living, and his dad prayed and came back.
Mhm.
And my daughter, they loved their father, and they was always like, she was in the prayer line every Sunday for 7 years.
Wow.
I want my daddy to come home.
Wow.
Guess what? He didn't want to come home.
Right.
Mm.
And so that was 7 years of my life holding on to, I'm saved, doing all I know to do, praying.
This is what is I call keeping it real right here. You keeping it real.
and
Mhm.
praying and hoping and believing God. But if God is not going to force him to want to come home, he gives us free choice.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think the reason why marriages fail is because the church has really failed the Black community. We have not talked about accountability. All we talk about is love and forgiveness, and it is far more than that. Because if you
Now,
love me,
from a church, from a church perspective, it
Right.
gets back into what Mr. Sharp was talking about.
right. And it's more than that.
From a church perspective, now you have
Right.
in general relationships and you have in the church.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I do agree with you.
Hold on, brother moderator. But is that so? Because relationships lead to marriage. And the
Mhm.
Bible says marriage is a covenant between a man and woman and God. The
Mhm.
Bible says it's a great mystery. So it might look like one way from the world point of view, but marriage is a spiritual thing.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? You can't have one without the other. And that's where the breakdown is.
Okay.
But I
Because
think
you can't have a man that's saved and a woman that's unsaved walking forward and doing the things of God. I'm
but
gonna
you
get
can have
personal with this, and I'm gonna tell you why I say this. All right, when I was married, right, I told my pastor and them this. I said, man, ain't no way in the world that woman saved. I told him just like I just showed y'all. I said, there's no way in the world a woman can have the Holy Ghost in them and be this mean.
Does somebody want to respond to that, Pastor Marvina?
He's right. He's
There's
right.
no way.
Somebody claim they love God and then treat you like the devil done die when they get you home. It's
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
but that's
Mr. Ballard,
because
Mr. Ballard, do I have a response on this? I see you back listening. I see you back there listening now. Do you have a response to this?
Uh, I'm still listening because I want to make sure I get it all before I even say so.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, basically, at
And,
this
and
point,
if we go back, it's all about what we know and what we don't know, what we have known, what we've been taught, and what we haven't been taught.
all right, now we're going to wrap this up. And
Mm.
very good. This was good. There's going to be a part two to this. The momentum is too good not to be a part two to this. And not only that, we're going to add someone on to this, one other person. So we're going to let Ms. Sheila Washington, in a minute or two, kind of wrap this up as far as what makes a great relationship. And then we're going to go to Ms. Hill there.
Okay. Just like I said, it's communication and putting in the work, actively listening. And, and I will say this, just growing up in the church and, we always said, take it to the Lord in prayer. And I tell people, before you pray for me, come and talk to me. So you got to talk to the person.
Okay.
I mean, you have to talk to the person and you have to actively listen. And we got to teach our young people how to have that dialogue just just with families. So communication.
Okay. All right. We're going to take it to Miss Hill here.
All right.
Pastor Hill?
So for me, just continue on listening, communicating, keep everybody out of your business. I don't care if it's a marriage,
Wow.
if it's a friendship, if it's between your child, keep people out of your business. That is what is going to draw. That is the difference between your child coming to you, telling you something important, your spouse telling you something, your sister or brother. So it's all the way around. It's not just about a marriage. There are other relationships other than marriages. It's relationships in the church. That's probably one of my hot topics, because sometimes in the church, have a relationship, maybe with the pastor or the pastor's wife, there has to be a separation, because at the end of the day, do you really trust? Can you really trust that person not to share what you told them with someone?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a whole broad spectrum of what a relationship is. So in my closing, everybody should be held accountable and everybody should be responsible for what they do, no matter what kind of ship you're in.
Okay. Real good. Mr. Sharp, in closing there.
Like I say, there are a lot of stuff that was said tonight. Me personally, from what I found out about making a good relationship, only what you do for Christ will last. I found that out. Like Pastor was saying, keep people out your business, because people will show favoritism. And then when y'all make up, everybody mad at somebody.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Respect one another. Take time to listen to one another. You'll be all right.
All righty. All right. Mr. Anthony Ballard, you the anchor man. Bring us in there, bro.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say, just in relationships, period. To have a good relationship, like to really have a good relationship, you got to know who you are first, and you got to know yourself before you can begin to know somebody else.
Wow.
It's about being transparent. And back to kind of what my cousin was talking about, like relationships was here before Christ was here. People had relationships all kind of ways. So you just can't always think that, or be in the mind frame that when you're in a relationship and something going on, that Christ is going to be able to help you. Sometimes it's a choice that you got to make. And like I said, pretty much for the most part, knowing who you are, being truthful with who you are, you can have a good relationship and just kind of communicate that with whoever you're with, like the things you like, the things you don't like. Just it's so many different parts to what relationships about. So you gotta be kind of open.
Right. Real good. Good. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the panelists here. And I will say to my viewers on for Gospel Talk, there will be a part two to this. This is just too good. Charles Boney, we're gonna leave with a little bit more swag than I had before. So, watch out for part two.
Mm-mm.
Thanks for watching. This is Charles Boney on Gospel Talk.